Okay, you guys will have to accept being recorded in order to come off mute and speak when you guys have questions. Uh, Welcome to today's GRC live class. This is going to be a live training. Literally, if I'm covering something and you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to stop me and ask. This training is meant for you guys, so don't be afraid, right? So you guys are learning. I am, for those of you who don't know me, Antrell knows me, of course, but Elizabeth, I can't remember if I spoke to you, but I am Danielle Robinson, creator of Kyora IQ, the cybersecurity training and talent marketplace. It's a new mobile application. I'm also the creator of both the Cybersecurity Career Blueprint as well as the Tech Career Study Group, designed to help folks transition into cybersecurity. I've helped many transfer into cybersecurity over the years, but I had to take a break and I am back in full force with the new technologies that are available, right? So with that said, today we're going to be covering the GRC workbook that both of you guys, I believe, have already purchased. So I'm going to get right into it. And again, feel free to stop me. So before I pull up the workbook, I want to ensure that you guys understand GRC in general and what a day in the life of GRC may look like, depending on the organization, right? So GRC analysts, for the most part, at the bare minimum, will evaluate controls, right? So align certain frameworks, say if the organization's aligned with NIST, NIST CSF, PCI, HIPAA, SOC, any of the ISO frameworks, whatever that framework is that the company is aligned to, the GRC analyst ensures that the policies are aligned to that to that framework, and then they ensure that it's also trickled down into the organization and that those policies and those controls are actually enforced, right? So they may do some auditing against those policies and those frameworks to ensure that the organization is adhering to what it committed to as far as frameworks, right? So that's at the bare minimum. But my goal for you guys is to actually become a little bit more technical, right? So then you start progressing into your information system security officers, which are in GRC as well, but they may be more technical than the GRC analysts that may just be evaluating the policies. So an information system security officer on a day-to-day basis may wear many, many hats. So in addition to ensuring that that the organization's policies and controls are aligned with the organization, they may also be overseeing or have direct communication and interaction with the system security engineers. So if you guys attended the Tuesday night class where I go over cybersecurity basics, where I begin to explain to you guys the infrastructure, then you'll understand what I'm saying when I say infrastructure, right? So from the start, when an infrastructure is built, after, say, the servers are live and they've been hardened, the system security engineers are responsible for ensuring that the security tools are installed on those devices, on those endpoints. The information system security officer is then responsible for ensuring that the vulnerability reports that are coming out of those security tools, or any of the reports that are coming out of those security tools, are actually being evaluated, right? So let's say, for example, you have a server that stood up, infrastructure or operations have done their thing, and now it's time for the security engineers to install, let's say, Rapid7, the vulnerability scanning tool, to ensure that that system is hardened so it will test for CIS compliance, as well as any vulnerabilities that may be found within that asset. So the information system security officer is going to then run a report once the asset is scanned, to evaluate those vulnerabilities. And they may manipulate the data and then go back to the remediation teams and say, hey, based on this asset that you guys built, you actually have some vulnerabilities that need to be remediated. And then they'll follow up and ensure that those vulnerabilities are remediated. They may do that for many tools, right? So it may not just be Rapid7, it could be Cortex, so say your endpoint protection, your mobile device man, maybe they're using Defender. It just depends, right? Maybe it's a hybrid environment. Maybe you have on-prem as well as a cloud environment. So you'll have maybe you use Rapid7 for the on-prem environment, and then you have Prisma Cloud for the cloud environment. So they'll evaluate reports from multiple different tools, right? So an information system security officer does more work than, say, just a GRC analyst. And that's really where you guys want to be, because you want to be able to be competitive, right? You want to ensure that you understand the infrastructure as well as the GRC aspect so that you can build on your technical skills. And literally, this is how I started. Well, not necessarily how I started to begin with, because I actually started as an application security officer, but we're not going into that. As far as GRC in general, this is, typically how I started, or realistically how I started. And then from there, once you build on your skills as an information system security officer, then you can promote and gain even more skills as an information security officer. So when you add on, or maybe when you promote to information security officer, then you'll be doing even more duties, right? So maybe you are the person that is going into the tools. I mean, even as an information system security officer, you can do this too, depending on how technical you are. But maybe you're running the scripts, ensuring that the assets have been authenticated correctly, and maybe the CIS scans have failed. You're doing the troubleshooting in the back end because you're given certain access rights into the back end of the tool to do some more troubleshooting. Incident response is a big one for information system security officers and ISOs. So maybe you'll be responding and coordinating those efforts. So if you are in consulting for maybe working for an MSP, that would be more of your role when it comes to incident response, right? So you will also be participating in the call. Maybe someone was able to, or let's use an easier example. So maybe there is a DDoS attack where someone is actively trying to penetrate the network, and it's the SOC team is just going crazy because maybe the SOC team is small and they really don't understand what's going on. I've seen that. And so they're like, all hands on deck. We have many different IP address hitting us, and we need some assistance with understanding from tier 2. Maybe it's level 1 and they need tier 2 support to be able to stop the attack. In that case, you'll need to be able to coordinate with maybe the customer, maybe the customer seeing it if they have access to the SIM tool, of course, your upper management, and then just understanding what's going on, right? Maybe you are sitting on that call as they're combing through logs to find out which IP addresses are involved. Maybe you have a high-risk client. It's a billion-dollar investment company, or an investment company that have clients that have billions of dollars in money, and you don't want to just stop any IP address because it can potentially block the transactions, which means money loss for the investment company. So it's really important that you guys have to figure out which IP address is the one that's being nefarious and the one that's not, right? So you have to understand, okay, well, if it is an IP, once we find that IP address and the SOC team is doing what they're doing, putting in their tools to figure out, if it's a known malicious IP address, then you may instruct them to say, hey, you guys need to go block it on the firewall. Go tell get the firewall team involved and say, hey, we need you to block this on the firewall, put in our tickets later. You know what I'm saying? So in short, you want to be able to progress throughout your career so that you can learn new tools, technologies, and be able to evolve, right? Because cybersecurity technology in general is going to continue to evolve, especially with AI. You guys may have seen me post on LinkedIn and other places. You may have seen other people say, well, AI is going to condense or compress the positions. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. People that are going to lose their jobs are the people who don't evolve their skill set. Because right now we have recruiters that cannot find AI solution engineers, AI machine learning engineers. So yes, some jobs are going to be compressed, maybe because of the fact that AI can come in and help augment some of their jobs, especially like SOC, some of those tasks can be automated. But then again, there's going to be, because AI is still a new technology, there's also going to be career growth, right? So maybe you are, say, an AI solutions engineer, but your background is in security. So you know that you now know how to implement AI securely into an environment. That's still secure. You're still utilizing your security skills. So don't be afraid of engineering. Don't be afraid of evolving your skill set. There's various levels of minimal engineering where you're literally going into the back end of the a tool and clicking around, which I mean we do on Facebook and different programs every day, so you guys can figure it out. But there's still many opportunities and still it's still worth it to get into cybersecurity in transition. So before I move on and pull up the workbook, because now you guys have an understanding of where I want you guys to go and where we're going with this training, does anyone have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay. And for those of you who have joined after I started, this is live interactive. In this training class is for you guys. It's recorded, so make sure that you guys ask questions because I absolutely cannot stand when I'm on a call and I go through something and then someone sends me a message asking me a question about something that I covered in the class. You guys can ask your questions now. Don't be afraid. This is for you. Okay, so with that being said, for those of you who purchased the $5 workbook, I am going to, in Policy Pack, I'm going to share my screen to let you guys make sure you guys understand what you're looking at. Okay, so this is the GRC workbook. So why do I
One
call it
one
the,
question. One
oh,
question
okay.
before you start. Should we go ahead and pull up the where you are also in the workbook? I mean, I
I would
have the
I would, but
okay.
then again, if it's easier, it depends on your learning style, right? So if it's easier for you guys to kind of just watch me first, that's fine as I begin to explain it, and then we can go into more like hands-on exercises if that works too.
Okay, I'm hands on too. Okay, all right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Mhm. All right, so this is a GRC workbook, and this is literally set up similar to how you would conduct an audit on the job, right? So on the left hand, well, first of all, I have the definition here. So control mapping is a process of linking security controls like NIST 853 requirements to organization-specific policies, procedures, and technical implementations, which is what I just literally just covered with you guys. So in column A, we have the control family. And then in column B, we have the list of controls. And then in column C, we have the infrastructure. So whether it's Azure or AWS infrastructure. And then in column D, we have where the policy lives. In column E, we have the type of evidence to be requested. And again, we'll go more into details on what this stuff is shortly. But then in column F, we have evidence received, G, received by, and the date. Similar to how, again, an audit, you conduct an audit and what that Excel spreadsheet would look like. Now, keep in mind, this is more old school compared to some forward-thinking organizations, right? Because
Mhm.
you will have organizations such as state government clients, you will have, again, billions of dollar investment companies that don't trust AI. There's still some organizations that are just like, our environment is too high risk to put it into any automated tools that may be stored in a cloud environment that may be more easily accessible. So there are organizations that are still manual like this, whereas others may actually utilize some GRC engineering, having some more scripts, having some more automation, maybe using Power BI and Tableau for their data reports. It just depends on how much money the organization is, how forward thinking they are, and what technologies and tools they are willing to invest to be able to come up with some of the latest technology or be able to use the latest technologies. But understanding the fundamentals is important because let's say one of those tools went down, you still need to be able to know how to do your job. So I feel that it's very important that you guys understand the fundamentals in old school, how it works, because then when you do get a tool that you're able to actually, manipulate and play and make your job a lot easier, you'll appreciate being able to go back to the basics. So this is your typical auditing spreadsheet. What I also have already pulled up is the NIST 853 framework. So this is the actual document I'm going to put in the chat so that you guys can take a look at it. So it's important that you guys actually know how to go and find controls in the NIST document. NIST is National Institute Standards of Technology. This is typically the framework that many organizations utilize to ensure that their infrastructure is built to standard. And then even frameworks like HIPAA, PCI, they all reference and pull from the NIST 853 controls, right? So this is a very large document. As you can see, there's 492 pages. And so do I remember all these controls? No, not at all. Do I even know exactly how many controls there are? Not at all. There are many controls. I want to say over 1,000. I know that I have audited as many as 300 controls at one time. So there's a lot of freaking controls. The important thing is to know how to utilize your resources to be able to locate a control and be able to understand it, right? So for example, let's just take this account management control, right? So let's say you have AC2. So you may have seen, or you've seen AC2 in the workbook. So you would be able to pull up the NIST 853 document, simply search AC2, and then it would take you right to the AC2 control. And then this is what the control states. So we'll come back to the control in just a moment, but I want to take a break and ask if anyone has any questions on that information so far.
None for me. I did want to just for my sanity is also point out that uh like this is revision 5. So I think that's also important to keep in mind that the, this is a living document. It's a, these revisions come out and like you said, you don't need to know, of course no one would be able to know all of it, but to kind of keep in mind that, a revision will come out that may change the, slight things to controls. So I think keeping that in mind for when you're going through the audits, isn't that something that we want to make sure that that we're aware of?
Well, you're not even going to have to think that far because when you do an audit, by the time that the audit gets to you, the scope
Mhm.
is already going to be defined. So there are
Okay.
some organizations that are on Rev 4 still. They have not moved to
Mm.
Rev 5 yet.
Okay.
So during the audit, you guys will determine whether you're going to evaluate against Rev 4 or whether you're going to
Or
evaluate
5.
against Rev 5. And
Gotcha.
honestly, there's some organizations that don't even have Rev 4 or Rev 5 implemented. There are some organizations that only have NIST CSF implemented, which is an overarching framework, but it doesn't necessarily get into these controls. So your system security plan, may have just a general statement about, how you guys do access control or something. But there are other system security plans where they literally list all 300 controls that the organization is adhering to and
Mhm.
how those controls are implemented. So like I said, it's going to vary depending on the organization.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so since we are moving on from the NIST controls, uh, in your policy packs, you guys actually receive the policy. So if you're in the premium community for $20 a month, you get just the workbook and then an instruction guide on how to build a policy. If you purchase the policy pack, you're ahead of the game because you don't have to build any of these policies out. All of the policies were already created for you, or most of them were created for you. So if you have your, let's just take, for example, we're not going to go through all of them. Of course, we only have 2 hours, and I want to make sure that you guys have time for questions, answers, be able to get a really good understanding of what we're doing, and then be able to pick my brain. So for this access control policy, know that a control policy will always have, or a security policy should, I'm going to say should, because I have seen in organizations where not everything is in here. And depending on your organization, you may have some really elaborate, colorful, amazing electronic policies, and then you may have a policy system where you're just like, who created this and why? Who gave them this job? So this is a basic policy. A policy should always have its purpose, its scope, its policy statements. So access authorization, which is one of the things that we just covered in the AC2 and account management, is that all access must be requested, documented, and approved by the appropriate manager in the IT security department before being granted. Access rights must be based on job responsibilities and follow the principle of least privilege. Temporary emergency access must be limited and reviewed within 24 hours. So that's just an example of the policy statement. There's many policy statements in here. Here goes the account management one, your periodic review, multi-factor authentication, logging and monitoring, remote and wireless access, right? So I'll cover it later, but if you are in the pro community on the Kyora IQ platform, we are actually going to begin going over all of these things on a weekly basis, and I will have a active cybersecurity engineer that will be able to help you guys audit these things in an Azure environment. So this is what your policy should look like or be similar to at the end of the day. And then let's just say, going back to our NIST policy here, right? Our NIST framework document here. This is a lot of information, right? I know that when I first started, we didn't have ChatGPT 6 years ago to be able to go and do in-depth research on, or not in-depth research. We had to do in-depth research, but we didn't have ChatGPT to break down these concepts. Because when you look at this, especially if you're new to security, you're like, oh my God, this is one control and it's this long. What? I don't even understand what this stuff means. Now we have ChatGPT to make it easier to understand. So you can literally come in here and take like this first section. Let's just take this first section, and we can go into ChatGPT and say, break this down into layman's terms, what this means, right? Because we're working smarter, not harder these days. And in plain English, ChatGPT will be able to break down exactly what this means. So this control is about making sure the right people have the right access and only for as long as they need it, right? So that would mean that it aligns with our access control policy, right? So access authorization, account management, access permissions, periodic review, the multi-factor authentication, the logging and monitoring. So we're making sure that this policy is aligned with what NIST 853 is telling us should be there, right? So let's say you guys have that policy pack and you're just like, well, I don't understand. Like, how do I know if this policy is even accurate? Like, how do I know which controls to even begin to evaluate? So you can go into, try to do it the easy way. Access control policy. Should be that. You can upload the document. You want to make sure that you have ChatGPT Pro to get the most efficient response. And you can say, what controls or what NIST controls are present in this policy. And as you can see, everything is aligned. It's telling you, based on the access control policy used, the following NIST 853 Rev 5 controls are explicitly present or clearly supported in this policy language. And you see how it breaks down AC1, AC2, AC3, AC5, AC6, 7, 11, blah, 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 right? It goes on, and it tells you exactly what controls are in the policy. So I'm going to take a break there and ask if anyone has any questions. Good. Okay. Okay, with that being said, so now that you understand your policies, how to look for certain controls within the policy, you have your workbook that has policies, and you understand how to use ChatGPT to work smarter, not harder. You also have your NIST control. The next is to go into actually practice using your workbook and auditing, right? So I would like for you guys to keep the first sheet, the evaluation sheet, as clean as possible. So what I would recommend is I would recommend copying, adding a new tab, and then pasting. You can get rid of this picture at this point. Right. So once you add a new tab, this is where you can practice and create different workbooks, right? So I'm going to remove this information here. And again, this is what you guys are going to do because this is now your practice workbook. So you can label it like practice. Right. And then we're going to use the example that I just did for this access control policy. So for the example that we just use, this is how we're going to break down our what we're going to be testing. So for the first one, right, it told us that for the access control policy, AC1 was present. So we can go back into the book and we can put AC-1. And this is where you guys can pull up your workbook on your computers and follow along because now I'm going to have you guys start doing some work in asking ChatGPT information and using different environments to be able to see what type of responses it gives you back. For example, you may have an Azure environment. Some of your items may be in Azure, you may have an AWS cloud environment, or you may have an on-prem environment, right? And so depending on the environment, you may be using different access tools for that. So let me know when you guys have created your second tab and have cleared out the information in your workbooks.
It'd be helpful if I take off mute. I'm there, just raising my hand that I'm there.
Okay. I'm actually going to delete this too. Because we're actually just because it's a timed class, so we're going to work with just the access controls. How's everyone else doing? Or just let me know if you guys want to continue and rewatch the video later.
I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
done.
Okay. All right, Liz. Jalen?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So majority of folks are ready. So we are going to continue. So you have your access control. I'm sorry, and please clear out this part too, because we'll just focus on the access controls for the sake of time. I'm not going to teach for the entire 2 hours. Like I said, I want to give you guys some time back, maybe the last hour, to just be able to discuss. We can also talk about, just your situations, where you are and where you would like to go as well. So access control, AC1, we're going to take this one as our first example that we're going to audit. So for you guys, take your pick. Not everybody pick the same thing, but I need one person to pick the Azure environment, one person to pick the AWS environment, and one person to say that your infrastructure is on-prem. And what I want you to do is go into ChatGPT. Again, we're working smarter, not harder, and we are practicing. So you're going to say, you're going to put whatever your environment is, right? Whatever one you pick. So you're going to say for an Azure environment, or actually, I'm sorry, let's go back to reading what the policy actually states, or the control actually states, before I move on. Okay, so AC1, getting ahead of myself. AC1 is access control policies and procedures. So this is actually what we have, right? The policy is actually implemented. It says the document itself establishes access control expectations, scope, responsibilities, and enforcement, covers policy ownership, applicability, and review and cadence, right? So this is what everything that your policy has. So during an audit, you can say, I'm just going to pick the environment is AWS. So here you guys put whatever environment you picked, AWS, Azure, or you can say on-prem, which means on-premise environment. You have physical data center. And then you can say where this policy lives. So where, let's say, if you guys have a place of employment, you guys should know, but not everybody answer at once. And don't tell me in your specific organization, but where should a security policy live? Again, this is hands-on, interactive, so you guys let me know.
On it. So you're asking in my work environment,
Yep.
in an intranet site that's only available when
Yes.
you're
To internal
on
employees.
VPN.
Exactly. Good job. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yes.
Okay.
Your security policies should be accessible to internal employees only, should live on an intranet site, and it should specifically say, see the company's name and the policy, whether it be security or operational policy. So good job. So you're going to say intranet. We can just say that, for example. If in the actual audit, depending on what organization you have, it's probably not going to say where it actually lives. But this is, again, we're practicing. So type of evidence to be requested, and it already told us that it's a policy, right? So because it's a policy and procedure, what are you going to request? What type of evidence?
Policy.
Exactly. I was wondering if anybody was just going to take time to think about that. Okay, so you're going to request the access control policy, right? Simple as that. And then the evidence received should be a copy or a screenshot or the table of contents, depending on what the auditor wants. They'll receive that. Now, if you're auditing for a third-party organization, they may not want to give you the physical policy, so you may only be able to do a screen share, right? But in this case, we're going to say policy received. And then you're going to say received by Dave gave it to us on 12/14. Literally, that's how a audit goes. And that's just, your first example. The policy, let's say if it is a policy that was received, and you have a shared SharePoint site that is secured between, say, if it is an MSP and you're working between you and a client, you will have a shared location where the policy maybe is uploaded, where everyone can see that the evidence was actually received. So we're going to go through a few of these together. Like I said, the first hour I'm going to teach. The next hour is going to be dedicated to you guys to ask any questions that you may have, and then to hear about what we are going to do in the future to be able to make sure that you guys are prepared for jobs. Okay, so the next one is AC2 for account management. So on your workbook, you want to put account management. And again, you want to make sure, I know this seems like, but how many of these do I have to go through? All of them. And when I tell you that, it's for a reason, because you won't understand the value that you're getting by understanding NIST controls until you're on the job or taking another exam and you begin to understand what's going on and the language that you're seeing, because you have gone through every one of these controls. I realized that when I was studying, I've been studying all weekend for my Certified Data Privacy Solutions Engineering exam, and the same words just kept coming up, and it just seemed like I knew everything because I have been auditing for the last 6 years. And when you understand these things, everything starts to become together. Because at the end of the day, for security, the ultimate goal is to protect the CIA triad. For those of you that don't know, it's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And now, because of all of the security breaches, at the end of the day, we are protecting data. So for data privacy solutions engineer, they're adding on legal and compliance. That is important. Once you understand the CIA triad, which is more focused on security, the LC, which is legal and protection, and data actually focuses on the person, right? So think of data privacy as being in the best interest of consumers, the person, and the CIA triad is more focused on systems and security. All right, so account management. Account management, you want to put the AC2 control. And we're just going to go through like the first 10. And then your policy explicitly covers account creation, modification, disabling, and removing defined account types, user service privilege, automatic expiration for temporary emergency accounts, blah, 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 right? So I want you guys to actually pull up ChatGPT, and I want you to be where I am. And just you can say something like, what is the AC2 account management control state? Let me know when you guys are done. I know it don't take y'all that long to search on ChatGPT.
I'm done. I was just
Okay.
waiting for my baby to stop making noises, but I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Like, it was real simple. Okay. All right. So I want you guys to come back to your workbook, put in account management, AC2, and then the environment, right? So I chose AWS. You put in whatever your environment is. And we're going to be the next two columns will remain constant since we're auditing against our access control policy. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to copy the information that ChatGPT spit out, or for me, I'm going to copy it because I have several different controls in here. But for you guys, this should have been really your first. Well, I don't know, depending on if you guys were following along. If yours is set up like mine, where you asked it a couple questions, then you want to specify so ChatGPT knows exactly which one you're talking about. But if not, then you guys can probably just say what evidence should be collected for an on-prem or AWS environment. For me to be able to audit to ensure that this control is implemented, right? So this is, let me show you. Okay, so for AC-2, what evidence can be shown to prove that this control is implemented in the AWS environment? Right? So you can actually ask it what type of evidence could be used to validate that control is implemented, right? Because now I'm preparing you guys to be able to sit with our Azure well, when we do the practice in the pro version, we're going to sit with Azure. It's going to be Azure environment. Okay, so it's going to tell you what auditors want to say. Auditors want proof that can't create that you create accounts in a controlled way, assign roles and permissions intentionally, disable, remove accounts when no longer needed, review access accounts regularly monitor account activity. Right. So for one, right, because that's a lot of different stuff. So you're going to have different evidence that may need to be presented depending on the scope of the audit, right? They may say we only want to audit AC2 or PRIN 1, right? So let's say account creation and approval. So evidence to show that AWS IAM users and roles list, IAM role trust policies, account provisioning, workflow documentation. So you may get screenshots or exports of IAM users, IAM roles, IAM policy, and then of course your ticketing systems. You don't want to forget that. So for this, you may receive not only a screenshot of the IAM on the back end of the policies and the provisions that's implemented to enforce identity and access management, but you may also go a step, the auditor, as the auditor, may go a step further and say, okay, well, I'd like a real life example of that from your ticketing system because all access should be tracked and monitored. So let's say I am a new company at McDonald's and my manager has put in a ticket with the help desk, and McDonald's was probably a bad place because I don't know what you would do on a computer other than check out. But let's just say my manager has put in a ticket with the help desk to onboard me as a new employee. And so that ticket had to go through a second approval to be able to implement or to create now your credentials. And then from there, the help desk would assign you a user name and password, right? So that ticketing system, whatever they use to track the fact that someone requested access for you and that access was granted, that is also what the auditors would want. So on your spreadsheet, you can say for the evidence that was received was a screenshot from AWS of IAM, let's just say, let's see what it is. IAM user roles and lists. Right, so that'd be the first part of your evidence. The second part of the evidence, you'll say received JIRA ticket number XYZ dated
You spelled received wrong.
Don't play with me. Not today. Not today, Jay. Not. Oh my God. Let me see. Received. However you spell it, okay? You can be in the spelling bee police today. Not today, Jalen. Okay, XYZ dated 12/14. And for those of you who don't know, I know Jalen personally, so I can pick at him. Okay. So then we're gonna say Jalen sent this to us on 12/14. Now you're famous, Jalen. Now I'm gonna record this and put this on YouTube just for that. Okay, so account management, so that's AC2. So now I want you guys, now that you've seen me do a couple of them, I want you guys to do the practice. So somebody share your screen and walk through it. I'm gonna stop sharing mine. Jalen, how about you go first?
I don't have the workbook.
No.
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
No, no. You know what's so funny about that is you do have the workbook because I sent it to you. So,
Wait, I do have the workbook. You're right. It's just that I'm not on the laptop though right now.
oh my God. Okay, who else wants to share their screen?
I'm currently outside of my church because I completely forgot we had the meeting at 11. So I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, you went to church today. Look at you doing the Lord's work.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Oh, I missed you. I need to see you in more classes, Jalen.
Yes, I do. I've been slacking. I'm sorry.
Apology accepted. All right. Nobody wants to share the screen? It's hands-on. Y'all said you wanted hands-on training. It's okay if you get it wrong. Okay. All right, I'll keep going. I'm gonna do, go ahead. Intro, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, yeah, I, I'm just scrolling through the document.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go through another 8 of them so that we get a firm understanding of how these are audited. And then I'm going to stop and turn it over to you guys. So you guys can ask questions about any questions you may have, just anything. Okay. Okay, so we did AC2. And again, to me, like I said, I am a virtual chief information security officer. So I do this on an annual basis. And so it's important for me to make sure that you guys understand that it's important for you to be able to understand these controls. If you understand these controls, understand auditing and NIST, then when you get into positions, security positions, then all of this will make sense even more to you. Again, it's developing your skill set. A lot of people have trouble understanding the controls, auditing against them. And some people just don't like it, right? I didn't like it at the beginning either, but it got easier as I went along. Um, but it's not too bad. And then gives you a good foundation. Okay, so for the next one, actually, yeah, I'll do one more in AWS and then I'll switch to Azure and then I'll switch to like doing on-prem for those who may have different environments. Okay, so we'll do AC3. Access enforcement. And AC3. The environment. environment is AWS, internet. It's gonna be our access control policy. Okay, so then for AC3, we're gonna do the same thing. Access, okay, so access enforcement. Access is enforced based on least privilege and role requirements. System access restricted to authorized users and approved devices. Users only receive access necessary to perform job duties. So we're going to ask ChatGPT again, what type of evidence should be reviewed to ensure this control is implemented in an AWS environment? Okay, so for this access control, what you must prove that AWS enforces access decisions technically, not just in policy, right? Because we have our policy, but technically, access is role-based, access is least privilege, only authorized users, devices can access systems, enforcement is automatic and consistent, right? So you want to make sure that you have logging and monitoring for any of these things that may have changed. So I am in policies and role assignments is your core evidence. Access is enforced at the system level, permissions aligned to job duties, and no excess privileges, right? So your evidence, if you have an AWS environment, maybe your IAM policy, your JSON documents, your IAM roles attached to users and services, AWS Identity Center, your single sign-on permission sets. So in this case, for the sake of time, we're going to just say that we were provided the IAM roles attached to users and services, right? So it's going to show that we have a role-based access control framework implemented. And then we can say, Lisa gave us this on 12/14. Got all the dates backwards. And then you'll do the same thing. Now let's switch the environments around to see how different it may be. So for our next control, we said, actually it would probably just be easier if we mark some of the controls first. So we're going to do AC5, AC6, AC7, AC5, AC6, AC7, AC8. 89. This way I don't have to keep going back and forth. Okay, so for AC5, we can say for
Danielle, you know you're not sharing your screen.
No,
I know.
girl, why y'all didn't tell me? Oh my
Um.
God.
Well, because you would ask one of us to share, but yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're back. We're back. Okay, sorry. So we did the access, I did the access enforcement AC3. The same thing as we did before. It lives in the access control policy. We're going to request a list of the IAM roles and attached to users and services so that we see that role-based policies are implemented and assigned. And then we're moving on to AC5, and you're just going to say for AC5, for an Azure environment, what evidence can be received to prove that the control is control, and ChatGPT doesn't care if you spell it wrong. Okay, so for AC5 in an Azure environment, it will switch it around for you and tell you exactly what you need. So in plain English, AC5 is separation of duties, ensures that no single person can control an entire critical process, which means they cannot build, deploy, approve, and audit, right? Remember I told you when I requested the access or my manager requested the access at McDonald's, someone still had to approve her actions, right? So approve maybe from the security department that my access was going to be granted, but there should always be a second line of approval. But in this case, for Azure, this means that admin roles are split. Privilege access requires multiple roles. Access is role-based, not person-based. And privilege activity is restricted and reviewed. So when we say role-based, that means that let's say Nina is a security engineer and she's with the engineering department. Engineering is definitely going to be given more access than other people, right? Depending on, her role in the engineering department. So there may be a group of roles or group of people that are assigned in, say, the um, engineering department. So that's going to be role based on their roles. Now, I am, let's say, a virtual chief information security officer, and I do not need access to the security tools. I'm not going to be given the same level of permissions as the security engineers. However, I may need elevated access to, I don't know, some type of intranet site, maybe the SharePoint site, where the system security plan and the high level documents that provide detail on vulnerabilities and those other things are stored. Now, maybe the security engineering department, or shouldn't be given access to where those documents are stored. Yeah, they could see them in the back end of the tool, but they don't necessarily need access to where we've manipulated the data, the system security plan is. And if you have an MSP, they're not, they don't need to be privy to how that particular client's infrastructure is set up as a whole, because now they could potentially become an insider threat, right? Because they know too much about one client. So that's what the separation of duties means. And again, going through this exercise is really good, because just how I was able to explain that to you guys is how you guys should be able to go on an interview and explain it now to a employer, right? Because once you understand how everything works and comes together, then it's easier for you to be able to articulate. And in our GRC auditing class and our new setup that I have, you guys will not be able to be this quiet, because again, if you're able to articulate something, then you'll be confident on the interviews and you don't have to worry about interview prep, paying someone to interview or to prep you for the interview, because we're going to be doing that consistently, talking about what you guys are doing, and I'm going to have you guys explain it to me. Okay, so what evidence can be received? So Azure role-based assignment list. Simple as that. You're going to sit with the engineer. You're going to have the engineer provide you, say this was AC5 for separation of duties.
Okay, since you did that one, I did one a little different. I did AC5, but based on an on-prem, because I wanted to see what the difference, what the different evidence
And
was.
what did you come up with?
And I use Gemini. I'm just, not that I don't like ChatGPT, but I'm a Gemini girl. So it says a specific evidence checklist would be Active Directory group membership, most common on-prem evidence, proving that high power permissions are split into different groups. So your AD group, they recommend using PowerShell scripts or screenshots that show dev versus admin split, so that domain admin groups and developer groups are split, so that you don't have that, again, the separation of duties, like you just mentioned. You don't have people with that admin, I hate using this term, but God power, and developers don't have the same rights. Server level permissions, and having a screenshot showing local admin groups on critical production servers.
Yeah.
And then it goes into change management, so showing the handoff. In the on-prem world, you want to be able to show, again, those request tickets from ServiceNow, Jira, whoever it is that the company is using, who the requester was, who the approver was, and even the implementer if that's a separate person.
Right. Yep.
And you want to make sure that that those are different people. And then it even talks about the separation of duty matrix, which that was something that I was working on putting together. So a matrix stating, for example, a user cannot have a um, create vendor role and a cut check role at the same time. That
Right.
needs to be separated again to fall in line with that separation of duties.
Right.
That's what I
Yep, good, great. Yep, that's exactly why I wanted you guys to use different examples, because depending on the environment, you are going to get a different response. And all organizations do not have the same environments. There are, many different environments. I mean, there's Google Cloud, private cloud, it just depends on the organization. But again, going through this exercise, if you utilize the skills that I am teaching you guys, then you'll be able to work in any environment, right? Because you know how to do the research to be able to figure out what you need. Okay, so for the next one, like I said, we'll do the first 10 together. And then we'll do and then we'll just go into more like discussion. Okay, so for AC6, we're going to use Azure. AC6 provide evidence, provide example of what evidence would show it's implemented in Azure. And right, so AC6 requires user admins, applications, and services only have minimum access needed to perform their job or function, nothing more, nothing permanent, nothing necessary. What this proves, accesses, role-based permissions aligned to job duties over privileged access void roles, assignments are scoped. I don't want to do this one. Hold on, let me find a different one, because the other thing about the NIST controls, some of them overlap, right? Like, we've already talked about that. So let's go back. What do we say? AC, AC6, AC7. Unsuccessful lockout attempts. Log on attempts. Let's do this one. Okay, so log on attempts must be limited. Attempts are logged and monitored. There it is. Since we're here, I'm gonna say AC dash with this one, AC7. See what else we want to do and have it spit it out at the same time. So AC7, AC11, AC11, AC12. AC16. All right, so we're going to do these together. AC711, AC711, AC. We 17 and on from environment. Whatever's condition groups. Okay, so just to speed it up a little bit, I have put in all of the controls that I want to discuss for the Azure environment, and then we'll do the last one in the on-prem environment. So let's let it think. Okay, so for HC7, it's unsuccessful logon attempts, which requires that Azure must align or limit failed sign-in attempts to detect brute force behavior and respond automatically. So there should be a lockout challenge alert, right? So typically, in normal environments, in many environments, you have unsuccessful lockout attempts after 3 attempts. And you would normally see that like when you're trying to log into your bank, maybe it's 3 to 5, but typically you're trying to enter your password and then it will tell you, oh, you've been locked out. Please try again after 15 minutes. That is to prevent someone from guessing your password. Again, this is all security information that you guys will utilize on almost a daily basis. It's understanding these things and what's going on with your alerts, especially if you're interested in becoming a SOC analyst, or if you are an ISO and maybe the SOC analyst has let you know that there have been an elevated amount of credential access failures within an amount of time. So let's just say you've gotten 129 alerts over the weekend. Like, what can you guys give me examples of what type of events may have been happening as far as different actions that may have been taken that have failed? Because it's not just person. So that's just your hint there. So like what could be happening? You got 129 credential access failed attempts. What could have been those different scenarios?
The 129
Failed
failed
credential access. Yep, over the
credential
weekend.
access attempts over the weekend. That someone has, let me see, let me think through this. Someone's trying to brute force.
I hear you over there using ChatGPT, Gemini.
Oh no,
Cheater.
Somebody's trying
I'm
to get
I
access
am
into the system.
You said what?
Somebody is attempting to try and get access to.
Somebody, maybe
for a group
a
that
group,
has
maybe
gotten what is it called, the what
password
brings us,
cracker.
yeah, and they're trying to brute force by using a list of passwords that they found on the dark web.
Possibly. What else?
um,
You said it's over the weekend?
Yep, over the weekend, 129 alerts that came in, failed credential access. You came back. It was the SOC team was on it. Maybe they had mentioned got a hold of your coworker because since I said the visa level that stuff I kind of just get reported up to unless it's something that's um, valid or that needs to be raised to my level. But let's say for me, I come back and 129 alerts over the weekend and I ask, the information system security officer what happened and they tell me what. So we know that it could be somebody. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for somebody. It could be
oh,
a
a
group.
group.
It could be a group. But what else?
Could be a group. Um, I don't know.
I don't think y'all ever gonna guess this one, so I'm just gonna take it. Okay. Okay, so it could be a service account. Because remember, it's not just people that have credentials, right? You can have one account that has a password to another account, but somehow the password for this account got changed over the weekend. So this account that's automatically trying to attempt to authenticate to this account is not able to access. So it just keeps trying over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
And it
Right?
may not
Because
be
it's
a
automatic.
And it may
Right.
not be a
Nefarious
a
action at all.
nefarious action. Yeah, it may just
Right.
be that, okay, okay, okay.
Yes. So this is why I tell you guys it's really good to go through this exercise because you learn things like this. And when I tell you this happens more times than not,
Mm-hmm.
it happens so often. And you guys need to make sure that you understand how to investigate these alerts, whether you're a SOC analyst, whether you are an information system security officer, this is your job. So, so yeah,
So,
so it could be a service account.
so okay, look, can I kind of put this in my own words, kind of what we just walked through for this, just for this particular example that you give me. It's possible that a service account that had access, that had previous access to an account, um, is now getting the failed credentials because that previous account's password may have changed.
Yep.
And it may be an automated process that runs over the weekend because there's fewer people use. Okay, okay. I
Okay, so
just
let me
needed to
break it
walk
down
through
further
that.
for you guys to be able to understand it. So, one of those examples is your vulnerability management tool, right? Your vulnerability management tool, let's just say Rapid7 for an example, has access to the servers to be able to scan for vulnerabilities.
Okay.
But over the weekend, let's just say that it's normal for that group of servers or whatever for the password to change. So like, because maybe it's on automatic rotation or whatever, but those credentials have to usually be passed from one engineer to another, right? Because a separation of duties, the operations engineers are not going to have the security tools passwords, and the security tools passwords are only not going to be passed to the operations, but the operations will pass certain passwords over to security engineering when they need to be put into those tools. So when the service account needs to be the password needs to be updated, maybe operations didn't hand off or communicate with security engineering that the password was going to rotate over the weekend. So now the vulnerability management tool consistently tried to access the tools to be able to scan for vulnerabilities, and it couldn't because that password was changed. That's a basic example for you. Um, okay, so for this, I was going to put it because I remember this one off the top of my dome because, like I said, this is literally what you do as a GRC analyst. So you'll start to get familiar with some of these, and it's like, oh, I already know what that means. So in this case, Microsoft Enter ID. Okay, so Azure is Microsoft, right? So Microsoft Enter ID sign-in protection primary evidence. What this proves, failed logins are detected and restricted automatically, right? So the engineer may give you a screenshot of the Microsoft Enter ID sign-in protection saying that the account is locked after 3 attempts. And that's what you would receive. And we received that from Donna. I'm just making up names as I go. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's do AC 11. What? Okay. Now I'm getting lazy. What about AC 11 in an Azure environment? Okay, so AC 11 is session lockout. So when a user is inactive, their session must automatically be locked out, hide previously visible information, require re-authentication to regain access. So that's pretty much straightforward, right? We don't want folks to be on the job at their desk and decide that they want to go get a cup of coffee and forget that they left their computer unlocked for someone else to now come in and do whatever they want to do. So session lockouts typically are after 5 minutes or whatever the organization sets, right? So for this, AC 11 requires that typically it's the configuration.
Mhm.
See if it's in here. When a user is in their session automatic like out workplace causation. Evidence. Okay, so there's a couple things here and this is why ChatGPT is good, but it doesn't necessarily give you the full picture sometimes. So let's say, for example, for me, I know that because I've been auditing for the last 6 years, that I would not only test it on my side, let's say I'm one of the end users and I can test, that would be how I test the control, right? So I can say I personally tested the control and my system locked out after 5 minutes, right? The other piece of the evidence, as you can say, is I received the account lockout configuration screenshot. Let's see. Screenshot from the engineer. Okay, so this says that not only did I test the control myself and see that my not wrapping, not only did I test the control myself and seeing that here, this is irritating me and throwing me off. Okay, whatever. So not only did I test it myself and seeing that my session did lock out after 5 minutes, but I also went to the engineer. I really don't like this, guys. I'm like a kid right now that got like ADHD. Like, why is this happening? Okay, so we're gonna
Hit
come back to
escape.
that. You get
Hit
it, huh?
escape and see if that takes it away. Hit the
Yeah, okay,
escape
so I
button.
wanted to copy it because I need the information and just paste it into this cell, and it's
Oh,
not there after, and then it's gone after and that's what is upsetting me. I forget this is recorded. I was about to start cussing away. Hold on. Let me see. I gotta remember to be on my best behavior today. Golly. Okay, there it goes. Okay. See, this is why I normally don't be instructing, because I'll get in trouble. Okay. And then we got this from Harry. 14. Okay. And then we'll do AC 12. What about AC 12?
Session termination.
All right. So in short, it's going to be almost the same thing. Like I said, you're going to ask for the evidence. It's literally going to be a configuration, or you can test it yourself. This is going to be the same. This is going to be the same. And once you really understand it, you'll see that this is going to be the same. And same, here it gives us. You'll see that it becomes routine, right? Like it's easy enough to understand once you understand what you're doing, mission, and what the end goal is. So we'll do one more. We'll do AC 17. What about AC 17 in an on-prem environment?
Switch it up.
Yep. Okay, so AC 17 is remote access. So we're going to put that on our sheet. And again, remember guys, there is hundreds of controls to practice with. But again, going through this, you will have a firm understanding of what things are when you get on the job. It'll make your life so much easier. I recommend going through those hundreds of controls because literally every year I have 6 weeks. You hear me? Hear me? 6 weeks to evaluate and audit 300 controls.
Oh my
So
gosh.
y'all want to be a GRC analyst, this is what GRC analyst work does. So the more solid foundation you have of what this stuff is, it makes it easier to understand. And again, then all of your policies that you have to update annually become easier because you know what you're looking at, updating the system security plan, all of the security documents, all of it involves the understanding these controls. So this is why I say, you know, hands-on training, working with us, articulating what you're doing would make you a shoo-in when it comes to getting interviewed and getting hired for these roles. And like I said, you'll actually be able to put on your resume that you actually went to an engineer and collected evidence, because that is going to be the next step, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Okay,
Can
so
I
1817, go ahead.
can I ask one question that may be a kind of a little bit further and maybe something um, down the line? The difference between like when they're in an audit and there's observations versus findings, what is that? What is the difference between an observation and a finding?
So an observation, okay, so it depends on where you're at in the process
Okay.
of auditing, right? Because for me, an observation for me as the auditor, depending on the context, is I observed, Harry, showing the configuration. Like literally, that will be what my observation was during the audit. Is I observed Harry pulling up XYZ in Azure and the control being implemented.
Okay.
Versus a finding means I observed Harry pulling up the control and there was the control was not implemented. These session lockouts, that configuration was not enabled. So users
Okay.
sessions would not lock out afterwards.
Okay.
So that would be a finding and a corrective action for now that control to be implemented. If it's simple, maybe there was some type of business justification, like if we did this section lockout, then the service count would be affected, and we
Mhm.
just didn't have time to go and make the different configurations to separate the two, whatever it
Okay.
is. But the finding, let's say there's no barriers and we can do it next month, maybe it's put on the POAM, maybe it's not put on the POAM, just depends on
Mm.
how the organization is ran. But the finding is the fact that there was something that was supposed to be implemented and it wasn't. So now there's a finding for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so remote access to on-prem systems must be explicitly authorized, strongly authenticated, encrypted, restricted, and monitored, disabled when no longer needed. Remote access includes VPN, RDP, SSH, jump service, vendor access, and remote admin tools. So that is just like me. I work from home. I have not worked in the office since 2019. Thank you, Jesus. But I utilize a VPN to access, right? So the remote access for an on-prem environment would essentially essentially the engineer showing that VPN, that there is a VPN configuration and enforcement using whatever they use, whether it be Cisco, Palo Alto, FortiGate. It's just a screenshot of that system implemented into the environment. So you would literally do the same thing. Oh, I forgot. I already did that. I already did that. I already did that. Received screenshot of, let's just say, Fortinet implemented.
But you need to change C because that that one was for on-prem.
You're right. my book, girl. You change it on your book. No. Okay. All right. So that's how you do that. Again, do you have to go through every control? I'd recommend it. Do it, or you can do like I did, practice with different environments and say, you know, like what environment, for, you know, the AWS environment, apply, you know, the AC controls that would be relevant for a mobile application, or maybe we have a web application in there, and just go through your workbook until you have at least 300 controls in the various families. There's different families, right? So if your audit and accountability, you have your configuration management, identity access, systems and communication. Go through your workbook until you have about 300 controls that make up these various categories. When you have that, you are ready. You should be able to walk into a job and be able to explain exactly what a GRC analyst does, and you will be able to confidently say you have experience not only mapping NIST controls to policies, but you have experience going to an engineer and requesting and gathering this information as a home lab project, and you will be picked up. I can guarantee. I mean, I'm not saying that particular employer, but you will have the knowledge to be picked up. So going into how the system that I built to be able to help you guys do this, it's only available for pro members. So for those of you who don't know, I own Kyora IQ, the mobile application. So if you log into your phone, you will actually be able to download Kyora IQ. And the pro version, which is at the top right-hand corner, is $99 a month. On that application, you will have access to multiple industry professionals. So I have Zoom, Salesforce, United Airlines, Deloitte. We have a ton of instructors from various industries. So industry experts, just like myself, that will be teaching you various topics. So if your goal is to become a GRC analyst, what I would recommend is that you take Mr. Greg's class. Greg is a senior manager at Salesforce. He will be teaching GRC. I will once a week be walking through this workbook with you. And then on Tuesdays, and I haven't picked the date on the workbook, we got to figure that out. But then on Tuesdays, Miss Ashley, beginning January 6th, because we're coming into the holidays, right? Christmas is coming up and everybody's about to take vacation. But beginning January 6th, Miss Ashley will be the engineer that will be working in Azure. And you guys will actually be asking on the session for Miss Ashley to be giving you this evidence. So you will say, Miss Ashley, I'm working on AC1 or AC2, because you're not gonna get the policy, but the AC2. Can you please provide me, you know, whatever AC2 control says? You see how I just did it and I don't even remember what it says? You don't have to memorize them. You just have to know how to utilize your resources. So I built out a full training environment so that you guys can confidently be able to articulate what you're learning. You can actually put on your resume that you have experience auditing in this home lab project with active cybersecurity engineers, and it will make your resumes much stronger on the platform. In addition to GRC training, so you get me for the workbook, you get Miss Ashley for the engineering, you get Mr. Melville for the theory portion of it, and to also be able to teach you guys about other environments, right? Because I come from a different environment than Mr. Melville comes from. So he's going to teach you about other areas of GRC that, you know, maybe more SOC 2 heavy or whatnot, but it's giving you a well-rounded background in GRC so that you can go and apply your skills that you learned on the platform confidently. We currently have the RMF classes going with Mr. Lee, but he's got a job as a drone hacker. So the RMF class will be going away. So it's important that, well, actually we'll have the RMF trainings for those of you that are in the premium membership for the $20 a month, the RMF trainings will be there. No one has been showing up to that class. So if you do want some live instructor led before he leaves us, please make sure the AIs attend, because we don't teach empty classes. The other piece that we have is vulnerability management, right? So as an information system security officer, I mentioned that you will need to know how to run vulnerability scans depending on your organizations. You need to know how to manipulate that data in reports. So we do have Mr. Herrera who teaches vulnerability scanning, and he goes hands-on. He may not use Rapid7, but he may use a Nexus scanner. And I forgot Mr. Greg is also going to get us see about getting some free trials for like Vanta and other GRC tools so that we can still help to enhance your guys' skills by giving you guys some hands-on with the automation and the tools that make it much easier for you to do your job as well. And that's just some of the classes, right? So we'll have Azure Cloud from a configuration standpoint for people that are interested in configuring the cloud and getting some hands-on practice there. And then we have, dark web hunting and some other cool classes, and we'll continue to expand into digital forensics. We have CompTIA certified training providers. We have resume building for those who are interested. And everyone that is in that platform is an active cybersecurity professional. I did that purposely, right? Because everyone says, oh, it's gate capped. Nobody wants to tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's no longer. You can no longer say that, because for $99 a month, you can have access to all of them. No, we cannot make it free. They're not going to work for free. They're spending their time to teach you guys. People are willing to go get these $100,000 educations, pay for these expensive boot camps. So all we're asking is for $99 a month so that you guys can get access to all of us. It's $1,200 annually, and you guys will have all the mentorship in the world to be able to help you transition into your careers. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions? Because I am done teaching.
No questions, but you did just convince me to get the subscription because I spend that on DoorDash. So that's better money, better well spent somewhere else.
Yes, and it kills me when people are like, "Ah, I can't afford that." Okay, well, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, what makes you think that I should invest my time into you? Because I have spent time, like before I came back full force, I have spent time helping people for a long periods of time, only for them to say, "Oh, my heart's not in it anymore." Okay, what's a waste of my time? Because my reward is to see you succeed.
Right.
I don't get my satisfaction comes from helping you change your life. I've already done it for me and mine. You guys see me on LinkedIn posting about how my son is a pilot. That wouldn't I honestly don't feel that would have happened for us if I didn't transition into cybersecurity. I wouldn't have been able to afford it. Heck, we were
Mhm.
still living in Sacramento, so flight schools aren't even. I don't even know if there is a flight school in Sacramento. I mean, I'm sure there is, but we wouldn't have known about that. Being able to move outside of our environment because I'm able to work remotely and from home, we were able to get outside of our comfort zone and experience another side of the country, and it changed our lives, in the trajectory of our lives indefinitely. So this is why I do it, right? $20 a month for the school academy or school community. It's not a lot. It was designed to be that way. I do office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you guys need help with your resume, if you guys need help like job hunting, if you need help with just getting past any mental barriers or breaks, I'm there for that. Every Tuesday, I also teach just like the fundamentals. So, you will hear infrastructure all the time. You need to get a firm understanding of what the infrastructure is. Because if you understand infrastructure, then you understand how to protect it, right? The other class we have is data analysis. Data analysis is huge. I cannot tell you guys how huge it is because at the end of the day, the CIA triad is protecting data. Privacy is protecting data. And all these systems are working with data. So I have a live instructor-led data and it's hands-on. Take your Power BI, SQL, basic Python. That's a lot for $20 a month. And then we'll have Splunk coming in January, right? I just need to make sure that we continue to grow, that the school community continues to grow so that I can be able to pay out the instructors. That's why I ask, right? It's not necessarily for me to get rich. I'm not making any promises like, oh yeah, in 90 days, I'm going to get you a job. That's not what's happening here. This is realistic. It's real hands-on training. And I'm really here to help see you guys transition and grow. The other thing that I want to mention, cybersecurity is a trend. Back when I got started 6 year old, well, I know, dang, it's been like 7 years now. Back when I got started almost 7 years ago, or 8 years, if you calculate when I actually started my degree program, cybersecurity wasn't a trend. This man came to me while I was an investigator, and he said, Danielle, you should go back to school for digital forensics and cybersecurity investigation. I said, man, you done lost your mind. Right? Like I'm like, I'm not going back to school and doing all this with two kids. Like, that's not what's happening. But once I seen the salary and they were starting, like, jobs were like, oh yeah, we'll pay you $150,000 a year. I said, sign me up. Sign me up right now. Sign me up immediately. And I signed up and I graduated in 18 months with a 4.0 GPA. And my life has been forever changed. And I'm at that 150,000. Oh yeah, I've exceeded that. So this is why I say I'm here to help you guys. This is life changing. It's low cost compared to the amount that you'll end up making. Long term, you do have to have some patience. It took me at least a year, but keep in mind, I didn't have, well, I'm not gonna say I didn't have a mentor. I did have a mentor, but I didn't have the training that you guys, that I'm now providing to you guys. So, so of course, I'm hoping that it would be much quicker than the year, but if not, give yourself a year because you do have to apply and it is a trend nowadays. But the other piece that I teach you guys is that do not follow the trend, right? Because trend means competition. You guys want to go where there's low competition because nobody is looking at those roles. For example, I applied for an incident response and problem manager. You would think nothing to do with security, right? Like, other than maybe responding to security incidents, but not all of the incidents were security, and very rarely were they security. The incidents were also privacy. So I got a lot of privacy experience, which is the reason why I'm going after the certified data privacy solutions engineer, because now I have that privacy experience with the data, with the security experience. I can become a certified data privacy security engineer, right? So it opens up so many more doors when you go after the job announcements and the roles that people aren't looking at, because people are looking at everything that says cybersecurity. But what I'm teaching you guys is to look for other things. For example, the data analysis course was strategic. So data analysis, understanding data, how you analyze SQL, Power BI, some Python, will lead you into an amazing and high paying data security engineering role. Or if you guys wanted to do some more like AI is what? Manipulating data and machine learning, right? So it will lead you into other areas. I did that purposely because I don't want you guys to follow the trend. We are going to be looking for positions that may not say cybersecurity, but they have some type of security that is baked into the process. And you're going to learn how to utilize your transferable skills to now be able to accelerate your transition into tech if you're not already, or into security. So that's my spiel for the day. What questions do you guys have?
And I'm working on my homework. I'm trying to get these 300 controls
Oh, okay.
So for the
documented down.
$99 a month, does that include the
The school.
$20 as well, or
Yes.
those are two separate?
No, no. If you pay the $99, your school membership will be free.
Okay, so
Oh,
since I'm doing the school membership now, if I was to upgrade, I don't have to worry about the $20 anymore, just 99.
Right. So what you want to do though, I have to tell you guys because it's already happened. If you do upgrade to $99 a month, you have to send me a message and let me know, because I need to change this, but I don't get notified when there is a new subscription, which
mhm.
reminds me, Intro, I need to send you a welcome
I was just
email.
about to say that.
Yes. So I don't get notified when there is a new subscription. I only see you guys in the class. So you need to message me on school, which is why I love this school academy, because it's, you have instant access to me. So message me and say, hey, I signed up for Kyora IQ, the mobile application of the platform, the pro, or you can say the pro membership. I need you to cancel. Well, I can't cancel. That's the thing. I can't cancel your school membership. You have to cancel your school membership. What I do is I use the email that you signed up with, and then I send you an invite from school that gives you access to the or gives you free access to the community. And you'll have that access for as long as you have your pro membership. So just be sure, remember, send me a message once you sign up for Pro, and then cancel your $20 school membership. I'll send you the invite and I'll let you know. We can talk, right there via chat and get it all completed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you still want me to send you a reminder to do that for me?
Girl, yes. Okay, no. What we're gonna do is as soon as everyone's like, I don't have any more questions, then we're gonna do it on this call.
Okay.
I'll stop the recording.
Okay.
Because I will lose my head. I am everything, okay? I am the creator, I am the designer, I am the advertiser, I am the I am the teacher. I am losing my mind at this point. So anyone
You got
else
them
have any
separation
questions?
of duties, so you
Yeah, I
can.
don't have no separation. I got access to everything. It is like a one. No, I'm not gonna say a one-man show because I can't. That's another discussion. But it is
Yes,
almost a
I
one-man show.
understood. Understood.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions before I stop the recording? All right. If not, for those of you who have missed this class, you have missed a gem. Okay. So please, if let your peers know, spread the word about what we're doing here, because the more people, the more fun it is going to be. We have, if you have not taken your Security Plus exam yet, I'm doing Security Plus Bingo. I think tomorrow night, Monday night at 7 p.m. It's going to be fun. I just made that up off the top of my head. So expect to laugh and we're going to have some fun. This GRC live class is not going to happen anymore within the premium or the free community. So it's just going to be a recording. It will only happen in the pro, and we're going to go through this. I'm going to have you guys articulate what you're doing. Again, articulation is important for when you guys go on those interviews. So please, not just being quiet. And the sessions will not be recorded. I want this to be live instruction. I want it to be interactive, and I want people to actually show up and attend. So just know that these are not going to be recorded, but they will happen on a weekly basis. Again, the purpose is for you to actually show up, for you to talk to me. This is where you learn. So thank you for attending the presentation today, and I hope those who are going back and watching this presentation finds this information valuable. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, whether you're in the free group or the premium group, message me, and I will be happy to clear up any confusion or misunderstanding that you may have. And then again, remember to subscribe to Pro, download the Kyora IQ mobile app for this training to be had on a weekly basis. Okay, let me finish by ending the recording.